Many years ago, back when I was a stinky little child who wore socks on his hands because he thought it was cool, my parents would often take me to the arcade on the weekends, which was my favorite place to sneeze into my hands and play Soul Calibur 2. Our local spot was called Nickel Nickel, and they had some of my favorite arcade games growing up, games that I still vividly remember playing to this day. Sadly, it's been about 15 years since Nickel Nickel closed down and became a hookah bar, which sucked because I'd spent the past year saving up all my tickets to buy the medieval knight costume set, only to find out I was about 200 tickets away from hours of unlimited fun. Look at him, for Christ's sake, that could have been me. Regardless, I decided it was time I relived my childhood and got my hands on some of my favorite arcade games, starting with, you guessed it, Big Screen Flappy Bird. That game fucking rips! No, but really. Gauntlet Dark Legacy is a 4-player hack-and-slash dungeon crawler that was released in arcades in 1999 and into my slimy child fingers in the early 2000s. I used to think this game was so damn cool as a kid. Maybe it was because of those super realistic early PS2 cutscenes.
What's going on?
Oh my! Guys, look.
Basically, there's this guy called Garm who uses the power of rune stones to summon a powerful demon named Scorn. He breaks free from Garm and flattens him into a low-poly pancake, scatters the rune stones across the 8 realms, and now it's up to you and your brave team of smelly gamer friends to collect them and use their power to defeat him once and for all. When I finally sat down and tried to play this game again for the first time in years, I was happy to find out that it was still a super positive experience. The combat was enjoyable, maybe a little repetitive and simplistic, but still fun nonetheless. Every character has a variety of special moves which are really satisfying to throw out.
Rock JPEGs.
There are magic spells, secret weapons, and even combination special attacks. It all felt pretty good. However, I did not expect this game to be so unforgiving. I thought playing it with 4 people would make it a cakewalk, but I could not have been more wrong.
Oh, Dad!
No!
Slow walk away.
Get him out of here! Get him out! Hey, move!
I can't.
Why was the Grim Reaper hiding in a treasure chest?
Jesus Christ! What do we do?
No!
Ow!
The game is pretty difficult as it is, right? You're constantly fighting hordes of enemies, whether it be small grunts, generals that have more health, Grim Reapers that suck away your health, or mini-bosses like gargoyles and golems. And often you'll have to deal with all of those things at the exact same time. Hell, even the windmills in this game can hurt you. There are plenty of traps too, like often hidden in treasure chests as an extra fuck you. But none of these things are as scary and as deadly as the camera. If you and your team are all close together, the camera is so close that you can hardly anticipate anything that's about to hit you. And don't even think about spreading out, because that's a surefire way to have a teammate get stuck in the map in the middle of a fight.
Oh no!
Wait, no!
That's a
Oh,
bomb. I'm
so
dead.
sorry. Go down for a mirror.
You gotta go down!
I'm dying!
I think playing this game as an adult has just made me realize that I'm bad at video games now, because even crossing the simplest trap in the first level made me feel like I was fighting a Dark Souls boss.
Let me up there. Ow!
Nice.
Let me up there.
No!
Ow.
Don't eat all
Let me
of
up
the
there.
fruits!
Ow! Let me up there.
Here's a rule. Whoever's at the very end of the screen, like, give camera room for us, because I can't move. I'm stuck. I just clipped out of the... This is so annoying. Move!
I'm waiting for you!
Go.
Ow.
It doesn't give you time.
Overall, I still think this game is really fun, and I definitely have the urge to go back and play through it some more. Probably on my own, because I don't think I can get through 13 plus hours of this game without wanting to strangle my teammates.
Cherry, Neema.
I want it. It's mine.
Uh.
I get those too.
This is stupid. The Jester's so fast. He grabs everything.
Holy shit. No!
Out of the way, I want the gas mask.
Fine.
How quickly man has fallen.
Blade of Honor was a really cool Konami game in 2001 that was unlike anything I'd ever seen before at the time. You play as a badass samurai on a journey to find his sister, who was kidnapped by a rival samurai clan when they were kids 10 years prior.
Where's my sister?
That's right, you guys can have your Mario Kart and your Deal or No Deal game with the creepy 3D Howie Mandel. I'm in the Temple of Cocoon, clapping up the boss so badly that I get to see his balls for a second. Yo! Astounding character designs, they weren't kidding! More importantly, what made this game so unique is the controller setup, which looked like the hilt of a sword. The machine had various sensors built in so it could read your movements super accurately. Remember, this was before the Wii ever existed, so this was a much more exciting and unique concept at the time. You basically travel all across feudal Japan fighting giant hordes of unique enemies and seeing their big fat balls. You could guard, you could step on the pedal to lunge at enemies, and even use special magic attacks you earned throughout the game. Unfortunately, I can't find this game in any arcades in my area, nor is there like a proper way to emulate it. Even if I could emulate it, I'm not quite sure how I'd replicate the motion controls and, get the full experience. It's a bummer, really. I was excited to finally play this game again, especially because I was always very bad at it and never got past the first 3 levels. It's probably because I refused to play the game, like, effectively, and by that I mean just swinging the controller at full tilt, which was all you really had to do. Instead, I cared more about trying to look like an actual samurai, which meant doing big, dramatic samurai poses, because I was one of those kids. One time I even bowed to the screen before fighting a boss when nobody was looking, which I should keep to myself. The whole reason I initially made this video was to talk about this last game, which is without a doubt my favorite arcade game of all time, Panic Park. I put this video on pause last year because not only is it impossible to run this game on an emulator, but there also seems to be like no decent footage of it online. Apparently this game is super rare. I called tons of arcades in my area and it seemed like no places actually still carried it. But this was the most memorable game to me as a kid, so I didn't really want to make this video unless it was possible to play it in person. Then months later, my friend Chris texts me out of the blue saying that he stumbled across the game at a random barcade in LA called 2-Bit Circus. So I grabbed some friends and drove down to LA during one of the rainiest days of the year so I could finally get my hands on it.
Whoa.
And suddenly, there it was. There it was. The game I'd been wanting to play for over a decade was finally in the palm of my grubby little grippers. It was actually really cool to finally see the entire cabinet again. I was always a huge fan of the jagged art style, and seeing it up close was a nice little nostalgic trip. Wait, we haven't even talked about the gameplay yet. Panic Park is a Namco game that was made in 1997. It's basically a competitive game where you and your opponent play a variety of fast-paced mini-games like running through burning buildings, dodging hammers, or trying to balance explosives through an obstacle course. What makes this game unique, however, is the controls. All you have is a handle that can move horizontally, but you're also encouraged to ram into your opponent's handle in order to mess them up and get the most points. There was one big difference from playing as a kid, and it's that the game is a lot more intense when you're playing as a fully grown man with adult strength. We pretty much only drove down there to play this specific game, so by the end of the day, my shoulders were legitimately sore. Luckily, I was able to calm everyone down on the way home with some classic video game jokes.
Have you ever been on Widowmaker's webpage? I heard it's impossible to escape her sight.
This video was a little bit different than my usual stuff, but I don't know, I just kind of thought it'd be a fun experience for myself, and it was, so I win. It was also cool to feel excited playing an arcade game again, seeing as nowadays I would prefer to just play games from home. But as fun as this was, there was still something missing from the whole experience. The thing I wanted to have the most, even though it was no longer in my reach. Until I remembered, I earn a salary.
You're kidding me, right? How much did you pay for that?
Oh, you must be referring to the exquisite medals adorning my breast.
Neema, when I told you rent was due tomorrow, you told me that money was tight and that I had to spot you. So I'm gonna ask you one more time. How much did you spend on that? Neema? Neema.
$200.
What?
$200, man. It's $200. Well, the starting price was only $40, okay? But there was only like a few seconds left in the auction, so I wanted to really like lock it in.
Take that off. We're putting it back on eBay right now.
Oh yeah? Okay, well why don't you come and fucking take it then?
Never mind. You're way too powerful.